average would be the 41st to 60th percentiles, high average anywhere from 61st to 80th percentiles, and then high would be anything above the 80th percentile on that assessment. So what's really great is you have over half of our students, or just right about half of our students, are high, average, and high. So that's great information to have. Like Homer was saying, our math reinforcement class at Giles, teachers can, or Ms. Tribo can put in their math wit scores right into Khan Academy and personalizes their learning.
Students with the 61st percentile and higher are predicted to be at the college and career ready level when they take their SAT. They can backward analyze this. So we're good, but we want to focus on getting more students college and career ready. And that is where our challenge lies. We have, like we say, math reinforcement. Some of these students in the low or low average, they would have even a Lion's Den class, a math lab, where they're getting extra tutoring and extra help in math.
And it should be noted, this is the 4th grade from last year. They're not 5th grade. So even though we saw in Park, we saw in some cases a 22 point drop. We can see in looking at math, which correlates to SAT, a different picture.
Okay. So just to follow up on that statement. So after doing the initial and maybe in-depth, looking at that particular cohort in the 3rd grade and last year's 6th grade out there, what's the conclusion? Why the big drop in math last year in the sense of across the board, or specifically in 6th grade and 3rd grade?
Well, one thing that we look at, which we don't like to push this, but I mean it is true. Park's level of meeting or exceeding increased. So students across the board in the whole state dropped because what Park was expecting on that level increased. I don't want to say that as an excuse. I feel like as I say that, it's an excuse, but that is reality. That's what happened. What they expected just was a higher percentage.
But was it also higher in 5th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade, and also?
No. It was really a big bump in 4th grade that they raised their expectations of it. Why, I can't tell you. I don't know. And a lot of people don't even admit that they write Park, like it's a mystery who does that. All we can do is we can look forward. We look at these math scores, and this area right here, 61st to 80th percentile and high 80th percentile, and then we have to look at our data on the other side of the map, the graph, and move forward with it. Not saying that we don't look at 4th grade curriculum also, and look at our challenging areas in that, because that's certainly something we need to look at, and we are. For example, this is math I know we're talking about, but ELA, we brought in a different ELA program in 4th grade this year, a different model, a reading workshop model, which is taking the skills that are taught in the Common Core and applying them in real life literature and reading, and the kids are all reading a different book at their own grit score level, and it's different. It's uncomfortable at first for some people, and it's not, the whole ELA book that everyone's reading the same story and answering the same comprehension questions at the end, because it's taking those skills that we have been teaching them since kindergarten through 3rd grade and applying it to real life, a book that they're reading on their own. So that's just an ELA what we're looking at too.
Thank you.
And so this would be an example of what an Eagles Web progress monitoring graph would look like. So our students were in intervention, depending on what intervention they were in or building they're at, would be progress monitored at different frequencies. This is a student who's monitored weekly over time. And the reason we do this is just to make sure that our students are getting what they need when they're in the intervention. Obviously, the student here, their growth is projected to meet or exceed their target that we set for them, so we know that this intervention is working. On the inverse, if we saw the student's line going this way, that would be a case where we would say something's not right, let's change what can we do here at school to make sure that we're meeting the student's individual needs. and that may be a change of intervention or the same intervention with more frequency or delivered by a different staff member. There's lots of different things we can do to change that up.
Not to mention, the student feels pretty good when their line's looking like this. Just saying.
So if you recall, this was back in 2016-17, we talked about PLC guiding questions. What do you want them to know? How do you know that they know it? What do you do when they do know it? And what do you do if, when they know it? And really what we're focusing on is how do we know that they know it? This is the assessment model. So for us, this is the balanced assessment model. The reason I didn't show it last year is because it can be quite overwhelming. But this is really what we're trying to apply. And if you look at it, you're able to see is that we're benchmarking the kids over time. So year over year over year, we need to best benchmark the students to know exactly where they are. We need that data. Because if we don't know where a student's starting, then it's going to be very hard to get them where we need them to be at some point in time. So we need that trajectory to proficiency. And so we have our benchmarks that we do at the beginning of the year, the middle of the year, and the end of the year. The boy, the boy. And so we have to do that. That's where we have our map, which is congruent with the SAT, which we're trying to find congruency with the PARC. We have our Ames Web, which is K through 4. And then in between, in addition to your state accountability test, which we'd like to see up there one more time to get us a better benchmark. But in between is where really you're going to make the progress. And so we need to monitor these kids throughout the course of the year, and that's literally what we're doing. We're at the point right now that we're actually progress monitoring students on a weekly basis, which is pretty incredible. Our special ed kids, we're doing it unequivocally in the K through 8. K through 4, we're literally progress monitoring our students weekly, and hopefully we'll get to a point where we can do it in the 5 through 8. But that's where you're going to have programs such as a Chief 3000 that's going to play a role, as well as the Mastery Connect is one thing that we're looking at. But over time, you're going to be able to build a very, what looks like a complex model, but it's going to make a lot of sense because we're going to be able to do what we need to do. And then it's going to be able to bring up our PARC scores, our state accountability, which is becoming more impactful. And I have to say, I'm proud of our scores. In lieu of everything that went on last year, the stress, the anxiety around going to the grade centers, we performed very well with the members in our cohort. So when you look at the LNAC, that's what we've used as our benchmark. We're still at the top 2, and we've actually made progress on the school that's been above us. The previous year, they were 5 points above us. This year, they're 0.6% above us, which is very good, even taking into context the PARC actually coming down at the 4th grade level, which we couldn't expect. But keep in mind, one of the reasons I believe the PARC is going through that calibration is it's trying to perfect exactly what growth is. And the validity and the reliability are going to go hand in hand, but it's going to take a cycle of 2, 3, 4, 5 years before that state accountability measure, which the study actually endorses, is going to be a better measure of the progress we're making with the kids. But you can read through this. It uses a common determined mastery of specific skills. I can go on and read this. But I think you get the gist by the picture. We're looking at an accountability measure that year over year over year is going to provide progress for our students. That's really the ultimate goal. We want them to have growth. Any questions? And as this model, comes to fruition and we're able to perfect it, then we're going to be able to get to some of our other questions, because the assessment's going to lead to your scope and sequence. And keep in mind, these are not in any particular order. I mean, if I wanted an order with what we're doing, we put this question first, but it's going to help with your scope and sequence, and more specifically, how to differentiate the instruction for the student so they have an individualized plan. Because all students are going to move at a different rate. And then it's going to help you with your multi-tier systems to support. The special ed is one of the things we've looked at with our co-teaching model, as well as our advanced honors and courses. And I put gifted here, but we really don't have a gifted program. And as you move to standards-based grading, we're going to learn, and some of our teachers are actually seeing it, that students just progress at different rates. It may not necessarily mean that they're gifted, they're just moving quicker than their peers, and we need to allow them the space to do exactly that, to move much quicker than their peers. And so you're going to inherently have a gifted program, the traditional gifted, but it's going to be differentiated with each kid with respect to the grade level. And it just takes time, and when you go through the cycle once or twice, it'll start to show itself through the scoring. So I was just going to... Any questions from the board?
I have one for Danielle. In the gathering of data, how often do you share that with the individual teacher? Let's pick third grade, for example. So you have a class in third grade, and you're collecting that data over the last week or month or 6 weeks. How often do you go over those students with that particular teacher about the progress of the student?
So we using a scheduled day-to-days about every 6 to 8 weeks, depending on time of year and breaks and things like that. And then what's nice about it is Ames Web, even though the students are being progress monitored most likely by the Title I aide at their grade level or maybe a special education teacher, the homeroom teacher has full access, so they can log in and see their data at any time. And then we more formally go over it at those big data days. We go over all students in the grade level who are receiving intervention who are being progress monitored.
Great, thank you.
Just to clarify that, that's the Ames Web weekly data.
Yeah.
The teachers are weekly going over summative data, summative and formative data. So if you look at Danielle's chart that she put in, thank you. This is Ames Web data that's done weekly. So anything less than 6 to 8 weeks just isn't valid. You know, if we looked at this student, you know, after this day, for example, or maybe he had a bad day, I don't know, maybe he didn't eat breakfast that day, or maybe something happened that day, we wouldn't be valid. It wouldn't be right. So 6 weeks, 8 weeks, somewhere inside there, depending on like breaks of holidays and things like that come along. That's what makes the data valid. The teachers meet weekly. They meet daily in a PLC meeting, but they meet weekly to look into actual summative data, formative data. Like they look at a pretest in math. They'll look at that every week, weekly. If not daily, to look at that to see, you know, where are the students progressing. They'll do a midpoint chapter. Where are they progressing? Do we need to add to what we're teaching? Do we need more practice? We're like third, fourth grade, second grade. We split the kids up a lot, not as much as in first right now, but where we split the kids up on these kids need this type of support, so they're going to go off with this teacher. These kids need this type of support, they're going to go off with this teacher and try to meet their individual needs. So that we're always doing. Always looking at that. Becomes a 4-letter word.
Yeah, thank you. Any other questions from the board? The slide you guys have with the looking at the scores of our neighboring communities, if you actually take the amount that we spend per pupil and you look at our park scores compared to our peers, you know, Union Ridge and Penoya are right there with us, but we blow everyone else in the area, and that just shows how much of great staff that we have in District 80. So thank you.
Today I want to put down. Yeah, if you look at that, as Dr. O'Malley mentioned, 47.3 for Norwich and 47.9 for Union Ridge.
That's a great game.
Because last year they were 5.7. Not that they're, you know, everything. Can I?
Are you open up to further
Yeah.
questions?
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Is it, since the slide's there,
Please go ahead.
section 2.
Only one.
Ames Web is from K through 4. Is that what you're saying?
Ames Web, everybody in
For
first
select
through 8th and 4th grade is Ames Web in the fall, winter, and spring.
Okay.
And select people in 5th grade.
Okay, and then math is
K
5
through 8.
Everybody.
About 1 through 8.
First through 8.
What's grade?
Yeah, you could do K through 8, but we've chosen not to do the K